house was January 10, and the last house was December 7, 2020. I thought, you know, pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, different mortgage rates and all kinds of stuff, I thought that was a fairly good sample size. The form and the directions, I believe, said to pick 3 to 5 of those properties. So I picked 5. Full disclosure, I picked the 5 lowest total square foot value per square foot in my favor. That's what I picked. I said, okay, I'll pick those. In actuality, when I got the refusal back, in my letter of April 29th, I did an assessment of all, and I presented all 27. And hopefully you see that, as well as the value per square foot that, that was listed on the website. All 27 of those I indicated on April 29th came out to an average of $124.48 a square foot. My house was a set, and gosh, those 27 houses, there was such a gamut of values. My house, had I been in that 27, would have been the third highest assessment. And I want you to just hold on to that piece of information for a second. Coincidentally, I said I picked the lowest 5. When I spoke with Ms. Chastain, she graciously showed me the comparables that she used, and she used 4 of the 27, the 4 out of the 5 highest. You know, when I was working, I'm retired now, but when I was working, in my bidding experience, there were some rules in certain instances, especially bidding federal or state work or whatever. Sometimes it's not just low bidder, it's throw out the bottom 2, throw out the top 2, take a median average, pick a bid that's closest to that median average. Hopefully trying to get a true assessment of what's going on. I said in my third letter, I said, you know, I'm using an average. And by the way, I calculated the average incorrectly, I believe, on April 29th. But in my May 18th letter, the average of all 27 properties was $126.76 a square foot. Again, my house was assessed at $156.33 a square foot. That's 23% over the average. You can look at my house. My house is just like everybody else's house, except I don't have all of the amenities that these folks have. Front porches, proximity to the pool. Some have, across the street from me, they have views of the creek and the woods and all of that, and really nice. We have a simple house, and intuitively, if you look at it with the rest of the houses in the development, you don't see anything remarkable about it that would make it be 23% over the average. I mentioned that to Ms. Chastain. I know those folks are really busy, but nobody, you know, everybody's going by numbers here. Nobody's going out and taking a look at the site, which I believe we're entitled to if we really want to do that. But be that as it may, again, looking at our house, just intuitively, you don't see anything remarkable that would make it 23% more than everybody else in there. Quite honestly, it might be on the lower side.
Let's, if you don't mind, let's see if, Dutch, you have any questions for Mr. D'Angelo?
One piece, and I'm not going to say in every sense. I mean, with the comps that you're using, it looks like maybe in your neighborhood you have a number of maybe 1-story homes and 2-story homes, and the 2-story homes maybe, of course, they've got more square footage, because it looks like the comps that you've used, I mean, on average, are maybe 12 to 1,300 square feet larger than yours, right?
It was all 27 houses that sold in that 2-year period. So yes,
Yeah.
there was a range
Yeah.
of square footages, yes.
And on average, I'm not saying in every case, I mean, the more square footage you have, the lower price per square foot. Whereas I'm not saying every case, but in your instance, it's part of the reason that yours is probably carrying a higher per square foot number because it's smaller. And then looking at the county's comps, it looks like those are more similar to yours from a square footage standpoint, and they're closer to the 1/1/21 reval date than the comps. And I know it's confusing with the 27 comps you see, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the county's maybe changing those filters where the taxpayers aren't seeing that kind of volume in there at the same time.
You're absolutely correct, but I'll suggest to you that it's prejudicial to impact the smaller houses that way, especially with, again, intuitively from the street, if you walk down the sidewalk, the house across the street is,
Yeah, and I think that's just general appraisal. I'm not an appraiser, okay, but just general appraisal principles. And it's kind of the same thing with land, too, just not the square footage of the improvements.
so I'm as much arguing the methodology as anything else.
Right, okay.
Mike, you got questions for Mr. D'Angelo? I think we got it, Mr. D'Angelo. Unless you have more comments, you're certainly welcome to.
I'm just going to say, I can't read
It's
Mr.
Dutch Hardison.
Hardison,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. What you mentioned, it's sort of the X's and O's approach, and that's the way the numbers come out. I understand that, but it doesn't give you the picture of all the other factors that I talked about. People come into that neighborhood, and we're pretty contained, and it's all the same builder. Unfortunately, maybe for us, but it's all the same builder, and we're not that far out of whack other than size. And I don't see penalizing the folks that are smaller in size versus the overall average and the bigger guys.
The only other point, I mean, but the comps were, you did get a chance to see the county's comps, the 4 comps they use, so you were able to review those and see those.
Yeah, again, I threw out the lowest 5, I threw out the top 5.
Right.
And the remaining was $123.05, the remaining 17, $123.05 a square foot. I'm indicating that in my last letter, May 18, if I can find it, that the average, maybe the average $126.76, maybe that's a fair assessment, and that would bring it to that final number that I indicate on my May 18th letter.
Okay.
When did you buy that house, Mr. D'Angelo?
We closed the end of December 2013.
Okay. And do you remember at that time, what you paid for that home?
$205,500.
Okay. All right. If you don't mind, we'll hear from the county.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So Monday, I think it was, Mr. D'Angelo and I, we actually did this together over the phone because we recognize that it's a broad number that's coming in. But he did. We pulled the same comps, the same ones that we submitted. We went over everything line by line. So I feel like he had a really good idea of how that worked and how we arrived at our value. I think it's just the method that he would like to change. So that's why I was unable to change the value, because it came in almost exactly where we were, within $600. So.
And I'll just add to it slightly in that I don't even think on our side of the software it shows price per square foot. The appraisers are instructed to find the most similar properties, most similar for. I believe that's what Dana did in this case.
Dutch, got any questions?
I don't.
Okay, Mike, you have any? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tab number 6, parcel ID number 06207-112, Mr. Melvin Campbell.
Campbell? Fine, sir, hope you are.
Doing well. The property is in the Woodhall subdivision, off of Crane Road in the Weddington, Marvin community. There you go, it's outlined in the blue. Do y'all prefer it, the further extent here or zoomed in?
Let's see it closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Campbell, how you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. My name is Larry Shaheen with Carolina Reval, 101 South Haines Street.
You're not Mr.
Here.
Campbell?
Yes, sir, I am not Mr. Campbell. I'm an attorney representing him today on his behalf. Do y'all have a copy of the appraisal in front of y'all?
We do now.
Good, excellent. My name is Larry Shaheen, attorney at the McIntosh Law Firm, Carolina Reval, representing Mr. Campbell here today. We commissioned this appraisal for him recently. It is dated 1/1/2021. It is up to date. If you will go, and what I will do is I'm going to very quickly just go through some of the summaries very quickly, just because I don't think we need to overburden this. On page 1, the subject is located as stated in Woodhall, it's a gated development, high-quality homes near the intersection of Crane Road, Waxhaw Marvin Road, approximately 15 miles northeast of downtown Waxhaw. Market appeal is rated good. There are no adverse conditions. Subject site is a large multi-acre parcel with approximately 307 feet of lake frontage. Subject improvements have a view of a small lake in the rear, which is believed to enhance the status' marketability. We did make adjustments for that. Subject is a large custom-built home with high ceilings, heavy moldings, 2 garages, custom pool, 2 porches with a view of Woodhall Lake. The subject has not been updated since being built in 2007. While the kitchen and baths are only 14 years old, they are considered dated for the subject price range per the appraisal. The subject does have an elevator, however, it is inoperable and has never worked for the current owner per the signed appraisal. Therefore, the elevator received no value in this report. We did provide 6 comparables, so we will have 6 sets of comparables. None of these first 3, if you'll look on page 2, none of them have transferred ownership within the past 3 years. None of the comparable sales have previously sold within the year prior to their most recent sale date shown above. Comparable 1 is highest priced sale in Woodhall in the past 2 years. I'll say that again. Comparable number 1 is the highest priced sale in Woodhall in the past 2 years. And that was at $1.948 million. $1.948 million. It is a much smaller home on a smaller lot with a seasonal view of the development's lake. Comparable 2 is a superior quality home on a similar size lot in a nearby gated development of estate homes. Comparable number 3 is located in the same development, backs up to a similar small lake. It is an older home with a more outdated interior, and due to the atypically long marketing time and large discount off of asking price, it received little consideration. Site adjustments were applied based on the county's 2021 tax land values. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is turn to page, at this point, 15 for the additional comps. Additional comparable sale number 4.
Let's stop you right there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir, of course.
When you were rattling off comp 1, 2, and 3, and you mentioned the sales price on comp 1, I mean, what I'm seeing as far as the sales price on comp 1 is $1,480,000.
$1,480,000. The adjusted sale price, sir. I'm sorry. I was looking at the adjusted sale price.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 148 is the sale price, but when you look at the adjusted sale price,
Right, okay.
when we do the adjustments,
Right,
it comes down to 1,948.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, 1,480 is the
Okay.
actual sale price.
Gotcha.
So I apologize.
And what page were your other comps on?
Yes, sir. Numbers, so we're going to go to page number 15. On the top hand, right-hand side.
15. I'm there.
All right. Comparables number 4 and number 6 were sold in 2019 and received larger time adjustments for the increased values as appropriate per appraisal standards in the subject market interior of the subject market since then. Comparable 4 is a similar age home in a competing gated development with a more updated interior. Comparable 5 is a recent sale of a superior quality home with a more current kitchen and 2 detached seating areas. But comparable 6 is an older sale of a smaller basement home in the subject development with an updated kitchen. Those are our comparables. And then once we turn to page 2, you'll find that the appraiser indicated the value by sales comparison approach of $1.95 million per the sales approach, and the summary of the sales approach comparison justifies that value. The quality and quantity of data is rated good for the sales comparison approach. The appraiser has not performed any services as an appraiser in any other capacity regarding the subject property within the 3-year period immediately preceding the acceptance of this assignment. The intended use of this appraisal report is for this property tax appeal. The subject square foot totals were obtained directly and measured at their actual location, and there was a physical inspection done on May 6th, 2021. Subject improvements have not been altered between the effective date of this report and the inspection date. So at this time, I would ask that the board enter a value of $1.95 million per this appraisal report for this subject property.
When did Mr. Campbell build this home, or did he buy it in '07?
He bought it in 07, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. Any idea what the final price, did he buy it, did he build it himself, or
No,
did he?
sir. He did not build it himself. It was purchased.
You remember what that purchase price was?
No, sir, I do not. No, that is not in the appraisal, no, sir.
Okay.
I think you mentioned this already, or it's fairly, I just kind of wanted to make sure that the comps, all these are in Woodhall.
All these are either in Woodhall or they are in gated communities similar to Woodhall.
Right,
In the
okay.
immediate surrounding area.
Right, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it looks like, based on the data in our file, that was purchased in February 2013 for 1.1,
1.1, 2013.
115 in 2013,
On some post mortgage.
yeah, which means it was a foreclosure.
And I'm sure you were furnished the comparables that the county.
Yes, Mr. Campbell was furnished those, yes, sir.
Okay, and he in turn share those with you?
He did, yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
Yeah, Mr. Helms did a fine job. I don't know where Mr. Helms did a fine job. We're not necessarily in any type of real nasty disagreement here. I think there's just a difference in value, and we think our comparables are going to be able to better reflect the market conditions, given the circumstances. And again, given that there was no home in this neighborhood sold for anywhere near this value in the last year, we believe that given the burden of presentment required upon our client, it has been presented that there is a difference in value, and that the county at this point would need to either justify the $2.1 million value or reduce it to 1.95 per the appraisal.
Okay. Well, let's hear him justify it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shaheen.
You're very welcome, y'all. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, if you will refer to our sales comps that I have supplied you behind tab 6, behind the county's material. If y'all have y'all had a chance to look at that?
I'm looking at him now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I originally looked at comps within the subject's neighborhood of Woodhall, but nothing in the subdivision was really comparable that had sold within our time frame. He has the largest house that in the neighborhood. It's 12,200, and 29 square feet heated and cooled living space. That's first floor, second floor, and a lower level finish. So he's got a unique property in that respect. It was hard to find, there were no comps within his neighborhood that actually were anywhere near the size of his property. So Mr. Shaheen and Mr. Campbell are correct that nothing has sold within Woodhall for the price that we have on Mr. Campbell's property. So I went and I pulled comps within Woodhall, but they actually comped out and adjusted out to indicate a value of 2.5. So I went over to Providence Downs, which is right adjacent to Woodhall subdivision, which they actually do have larger homes within there that were more comparable to Mr. Campbell's property. So that's where these comps came from. And you can see that the size is very comparable on the main area, main living. So comp number one is 8,325 square foot versus Mr. Campbell's property of 8,417. Comp two, 7,693. Comp three, 7,217. So these three comps adjusted out after adjusted sales price to the subject at 2.181,900. I do recognize that is a large home for the subdivision, but I feel like it's a fair value on the property. They contend that nothing has sold for that price within the neighborhood, but I contend that a house that size has not sold. I'll reference the appraisal that Mr. Shaheen had done on the property, submitted for the property. I looked at the comps. It looks like a fair appraisal. I think the difference between our value and the 1.9 is the lower level finish. We've seen that many times this year already. They're just not allowing as much value on the lower level that we are for that lower level finish.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just doing the calculations on that myself, and
It's-
it appears that on the properties that had no lower level, they adjusted at approximately $52.
That's
per square
correct.
foot.
It was $52 a square foot.
For a finished basement.
That's what the appraisal allowed. That was submitted, yes, sir,
Okay.
for adjustments.
Dutch, you got any
So
questions?
the difference in the two, between the taxpayer's appraisal and what the county,
Yes, sir.
what's the difference?
Well, the
in
difference
that?
is 200, and the actual difference value, monetarily on the appraisal is 231,900, 231,900. But the difference in the two values is the price per square foot on the basement.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How much is being adjusted for allowed for the basement? The lower level, and it is finished area, the majority of it.
Because comps 2 and 3 of the taxpayer's appraisal, I mean, those are larger homes. I mean, taking the basement out of it.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Mike, any questions?
I don't have any others.
Mr. Sheen, you can start right there. One last question. Was the appraisal prepared in January, was that done due to a refinance, or was that something that Mr. Campbell ordered
I
on his
ordered
own?
that appraisal, sir, on behalf of Mr. Campbell, and my appraiser is instructed to prepare these with no comps at all past 1/1/2021. It is prepared per appraisal standards, and I don't think there's any issues with that. No.
So he employed the appraiser himself?
Yes, sir. Actually, if you'll look on the front, we actually include the invoice for you. We're going to be before you again a little bit later today on another matter. But we actually include the invoice for you so you can see that this is a third-party purchased appraisal by the taxpayer. And this is something that we do, and we make sure that before we come before you, we have proper evidence to submit, so.
Okay. All right. You got any more questions for Mr. Shaheen?
Mr. Chairman.
And if
Thank
you're
you.
interested, there are pictures further on about the finished basement and the differences and everything. And as you stated, the updates have not been recent, so that's our only response.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
a retroactive appraisal in a reval year is acceptable evidence. They can do a retroactive appraisal effective January 1st, 2021. So I want to make sure the board's aware of that. They may not order it until May, but it can be done retroactively with the time adjustments and stuff that appraisers employ. So I want to make sure you're fully aware of that.
Thank you. All right, Melba?
Tab number 7, parcel ID number 061777020, Adrian Honeycutt.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. No ladies?
Well,
I'll introduce, this is my wife.
nobody wants to do it, to be honest with you.
Sharon, my secretary and moral support. I've worked in county government for almost 30 years for a county we won't mention as a building inspector, level 3 building inspector. I've been a licensed general contractor for 35 years and have built up well over 100 houses. The reason I'm appealing is I don't believe that my house was taken into consideration. It's 30 years old. I built it myself.
With my help.
Oh, yes.
Sure. Absolutely. You were
We-
the
we-
decorator.
we did
I
it.
literally, I stained and varnished all of our woodwork.
It has original single-pane wood windows with storm windows, which at the time, that was what was being built. I've got a total of 44 windows, and to replace them and update to the standards that I feel like this was priced at would probably cost me in the neighborhood of $40,000. It's got the original hardwood floors that have never been refinished. They have some water damage from an ice maker leak. If I were to refinish the 800 square foot of hardwood at $40 a square foot, it'd cost me approximately $32,000. It's got a jacuzzi tub. That's the only real amenity that I put in the house that has a leak and a broken faucet, which I haven't repaired, which, like the shoemaker, his kids go without shoes. That's just how it is. We've lived in the house. We didn't make an investment. We built it to live in. I have a large family, and that's why we built there. There's cracked tile in that around the jacuzzi. There's cracked tile in my other bathrooms. To sell my house at what the appraisal rate is would require considerable amount of work. It's got the original appliances, double oven, cooktop, dishwasher. I have replaced the disposal. If I had to put new appliances in to sell the house, it probably cost me around $20,000. I've got a dual zone heat, gas heat with 4-ton and 3-ton air units. And to update those at this point, I've priced would be $21,000. Miscellaneous paint and repairs, another $10,800. And I live within 200 feet of Ray Road. I'm the first house coming in the subdivision. I'd have no privacy. I have, you know, I'm not a primo lot. All that added together to get the house up to date for what the original sale or original value would be is $162,000. And that's just visible problems. That doesn't include replacing cabinets or I have an unfinished garage to finish the garage. I talked to Brad. And by the way, I have an excellent employee. I've worked in government. He's an excellent employee. He was considerate. He was fair. He told me, he said, you know, and he has reduced my initial valuation.
But what people don't understand about our particular house is when we moved out there, there was 10 or 15 houses and the market had dipped. So the average price out there was only about $300,000. So we didn't build $1 million house. We built a standard house. And now we feel like, and we're not arguing with Brad, because we think he did an excellent job. It's not about that. It's about y'all looking on the inside. Because it's kind of like looking on Little House on the Prairie. You see the cute little, and you want to go spend the night there. But once you walk past the door, then you see the holes where the rats come in. You see what I'm saying? We feel like somebody really needs to see the inside. And I brought pictures. We'll be happy to show you. If looking at these pictures, you'll get it. I've got 2 light bulb over my island, 1 light over my sink, and 1 over my dining room. We have no recessed lighting. We have the only luxury we have in our home is the jacuzzi.
Okay, having said all that, reducing the original revaluation from 757 minus what I think it would take to update it to be able to sell it, 162, leaves roughly a market value of $600,000. Brad has said he would reduce it to 664 on one comp in our neighborhood that he says is comparable. But I've seen some pictures and my interior is not, in my opinion, comparable to the comp that he. And I asked him if we could come somewhere between 600 and 664. I understand that.
We'd just like it to be a little more fair.
He can't, in good conscience, come to you and accept 600 because he doesn't have access to my figures and my calculations and that kind of thing. He said he couldn't come to the board in good conscience. He said maybe you should come and bring pictures.
We have some pictures, and I think if you just take 1 second to look at some of these pictures on the interior of our home, you'll see that it was built like a track house. It is not comparable to the $1 million elevated homes that are being built today and that we're being compared to. The landscaping on this one house, they've got $100,000 in landscaping, and then I'll show you a picture of my backyard. The floor damage, the front door, there's a 1/4 inch crack, and it's a big thing.
You're making me look bad here.
Well, I'm just saying, I'd like for y'all, if you just look at the pictures.
Well,
you see
sure,
what I'm
if you
talking
want.
about.
I believe you. I think you're compassionate about it. I can understand that.
Well,
Yeah, Brad hasn't seen them
He
because-
hasn't seen them. That's not, it's not fair to him. Like I said, I have no complaints with his.
It's not
My
about-
complaint was originally with the methodology. In my first appeal, I didn't agree with the methodology, but I
Okay.
don't make the laws, so.
Got any questions for the
No, they have made their case.
Honeycutts?
Yeah, okay.
What'd he say?
All right, so we're gonna hear
We've
from
made our
the evil guy from the county right now.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Oh, we're done? Okay.
Well, right now-
Are y'all gonna keep those?
We're gonna look at them.
Okay.
Gotta pass them around.
Yeah, here's the evil guy again. Just let me know when y'all have had a chance to look through those, and I'll start up.
I hear my wife and you're talking, Miss Honeycutt. I live in a 34-year-old house and that I built, and she tells me every day we need to upgrade.
That means we'll be upgraded.
That means we'll be upgraded. Yeah, I'm surprised, Mr. Honeycutt, you got away with it this long. Go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Yeah, me and Mr. Honeycutt had a great conversation today. And as he has mentioned, we went over everything he mentioned. And I'll just go over with you the comparables. If you look at my analysis notes, if you read that, the comparables that I pulled indicate a value of $710,800. But upon talking to Mr. Honeycutt and looking at the information he submitted, I did realize that most of these comps that I pulled, as a lot of the comps are, they've been upfitted to prepare to be put on the market. So they get granite countertops. You can tell it's got new color of paint, the current colors, and new floor covering and fixtures, and so they've been brought up to current market to get the best and highest price they can. And so I took that into consideration.
I think we'll be coming off excellent minus.
And took that into consideration and pulled comp number 4 up, and I could see online when that property was marketed, it just did not look like, comp number 1. Comp number 1 up, and it just did not look like it had been adjusted or updated before it was put on the market. It looked like it still had everything, all the original fixtures, floor covering. So as I told Mr. Honeycutt, I don't like to hang my hat on one comp, but I thought out of all the comps, that one looked like it had not been updated. So I took that number there and felt like it was the adjusted price, the sale price adjusted to the subject was $664,263. And so I told him in good conscience I could take that. I have enough data there to support that number and to come to y'all with his case and his photos. And so y'all have had a chance to look at them. So if y'all feel like it needs to be less than that, we'll definitely do whatever y'all think.
Well, after looking at them, Brad, if you went back and re-inspected and looked at what they showing you there, could you drop the quality? Would that help any?
Yes, sir, Mike. I'm looking at it right now,
That's,
and I agree with you. I'm just looking at it, and the quality is not supported by the photos, correct?
when we inspect properties, we typically see an exterior only. We make the extraordinary assumption, and it is just that the interior is of like quality. I don't believe that's the case in this situation.
In their defense, I maintained the exterior as pristine as I possibly could because it's a neighborhood. So the exterior is well maintained.
Mr. Honeycutt had told me that he's a builder, and he said the exterior looks really good, but interior, I did just, the basics, and track home materials on the inside. He said you would have no way of knowing that. That's why I asked him to bring the photos, and I asked him if he could send them to me, but we didn't speak until this morning, and he said he would bring them. So after reviewing this, there is a change in quality is warranted.
What's the next drop down? Is it good plus?
Yes, sir.
And on average, on a percentage?
I would have to go in the system, and keep in mind, we've already adjusted the value down.
Right.
So it may actually be less than what a good plus would price out at that
Right.
size home. So I just have to get in the system and play with it and see.
Yeah.
And because I have already adjusted the value down, so I'm not sure how it would come in
Right,
with the
I got
current
you.
value.
I got you.
I didn't come to go up.
Yeah, okay. I got you on that now.
So at this point, I think I'd prefer y'all making a decision on a value, and we
Just
can get
put
to
a
that.
number on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Brad, so we agreed in our decision process, we agreed to the Honeycutt's value or something something similar. All right, so how are we gonna know next time if they do the improvements that we need to increase the value?
Well, there'll be a permit taken out, most likely. When permits are taken out to do those types of upfits, then we can go out and,
Okay.
but also,
I was a building inspector for 29 years. You can't update a house without it showing up in county records.
but that's how we get most of the information, is by permits.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Any questions for Brad?
No, good information on both
Thank you.
sides. Yeah.
And just to add a little bit. Whatever value you give us, we'll force in that value, but we will go back and change the grade so we don't have this issue popping up in the future when we roll roll through next reval or something. So we'll try to systematically handle it to eliminate this popping up periodically.
All right, Phil? All right, Mel? Thank you.
Thank you.
Very entertaining.
Moving on, tab number 16, parcel ID number 043-06007B, Francis and Curtis Robertson.
So, Belma, the Austins or the Roddens didn't show up? Didn't show? Beg your pardon?
Whatever's easiest for you. Yeah. At this
Okay,
point, it's-
just making sure.
Yeah, we'll do a pass, and we'll just go, and what we'll do is review it, send it back. If we're anywhere close, we'll just not go.
You again.
It is me again. I'm so sorry. Luckily, I am the last one today. So y'all get to see my smiling face one last time, and then you get to go home.
Proceed.
Thank you, sir. Do y'all have the appraisal in front of you?
16.
Well, let's see here.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, okay, that's right, I'm sorry about that. Yep, you're right.
That's my information.
Now, am I not seeing an appraisal? You see an appraisal, Dutch?
No, I got pictures.
I don't see an appraisal.
Well, that's why I brought extras.
Well, it might be in the notebook,
He's got,
yeah.
All right. Once again, Larry Shaheen from McIntosh Law Firm in Carolina Reval, just down the street in Monroe. Here today on behalf of the Robertsons, Curtis and Francis Robertson, at 3506 Parkwood School Road. The subject is located in southwest Monroe, near the intersection of Lancaster Highway, South Rocky River Road, approximately 10 miles from downtown Monroe. The market appeal is rated good, and no adverse conditions are known. The subject site is a large multi-acre parcel with approximately 369 feet of road frontage. Subject improvements have a view of the pond to the rear that is located on the adjacent property owner's parcel. Subject features 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 9-foot ceilings on the main level, a large front porch, a partially covered deck, a large screen porch, and an oversized workshop second garage for a total square footage of 3,356 square feet. The subject has not been updated since being built in 2010. The kitchen and master bath are considered to be good to very good in terms of quality and finish level. The half bath and upstairs full bath are considered average quality. The predominant flooring of the house is carpet, with hardwood flooring in the kitchen, dining room, and flex office. Now, we did provide 6 comparables for you, so we're going to walk through those very quickly. The subject properties have not transferred ownership within the past 3 years. None of the comparable sales have previously sold within the year prior to their most recent sale, date shown above. And as always, this appraisal is of 1/1/2021. So, comparable 1 is an older transitional home that received extension kitchen and master bath updates. Site adjustments were made based on the site values assigned by the county tax office. The subject's attached garage is larger and superior in quality to comparable 1's detached steel garage, so adjustments were made. Comparable 2 is a larger home, slightly more outdated than the subject. Quality adjustments were made to reflect the superior trim and vaulted ceilings of comparable 1 and 2. Comparable number 3 is a newer home on a smaller lot in the immediate vicinity of the subject. And again, if you'll turn to page 15 for the additional comparables, we're going to page 14. 14 for the additional comparables. Comparables number 4 and 5 were sold in 2019 and again received larger time adjustments. Comparable 4 is a very similar property on the same road as the subject. Comparable 5 is a higher quality home with a pool and a pool house on a smaller lot that is valued higher than the subject's by the tax office. And if you turn to page number 2, value per the appraiser, $535,000. And of course, as always, pictures and signed appraisal comments are included.
So is the 535 your suggested
Yes, sir.
value now?
535 is suggested value, yes, sir.
Okay.
We would not ask you to lower it below anything less than the certified appraisal.
I'm familiar with Parkwood School Road. I went to school there, but tell me, how far is this from Parkwood School?
I think this is about just a few miles, maybe 2, 3, 4.
It'll be,
Yes,
I think it's closer than that.
It's about a couple hundred feet.
a couple hundred feet from Sparkwood School. I think Sparkwood's right. Oh, there it is.
oh yeah, okay.
School
Now,
road.
I got you.
Yep.
And you might have went over this, I was looking at the appraisal. Year built was, any idea?
This was built, built in 2010. I think the only difference here would probably be interior quality rating, I believe. Do I have that correct?
Okay, Dutch, any question for Mr. Sheen?
Only, were the county comps, were you able to review those?
I did.
you?
I did
Okay.
review those. I think their comparables were, they weren't necessarily of the same quality and type. They were a little more finished and more updated. These comparables that we're using are more similar to this home, as we stated. It hasn't been updated since 2010, and several of the rooms are up below average. And again, you've got carpet throughout most of the property. So I think the county's comps would have been fine if this had been a completely updated property built in 2018, 2019, and brand new. But as this is an older home, 10 years old and it hasn't been updated, I think that if you look at the interior pictures and the site of the actual property itself, we believe that the value of the appraisal justifies itself.
I don't have any further questions.
Mike, you got anything? Thank you, Mr. Sheen.
Thank you, Mr. Hadcock.
Let's hear from the county.
I have not had a chance to look at this appraisal, so if you'll give me just a
Sure.
second. In the packet that's stapled, if you'll flip to the second set of comparables, that last set, it's got 4 sales in it. The first set was from the owner's appraisal that they sent in dated, I think it was December of last year. But I have four sales of similar quality, same quality actually, good. And all the sales occurred in 2020. And this value comes in at $635,200, and the value we have on it is, $624,900. So I'm not able to lower it any. I feel like our comps are strong. Again, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to look at this appraisal before now, but 2 comps from 2019 would obviously be something we wouldn't look at since we had sales in 2020.
On, yeah, on comp 3,
Mine?
okay, I'm seeing a sales price of $415, right? In mid last year? On your,
That is the owner's comps. Those are the owner's comps. So that's not the sales report I'm talking about. This is the next one back, past the pictures.
In this package?
Yeah, this stapled package. Sorry about that. We had a little snafu. Those are the 4 sales that I used.
Just a couple of things that were sticking out to me.
Yes, sir.
The first 3 comps of the taxpayers appraisal, those were in 2020.
They are.
And now, since I'm looking at the right set of county comps, kind of just looking at the gross adjustments on them.
Sure.
And of course, there are larger adjustments in the taxpayers appraisal than the counties. But then again, the taxpayers' comps are closer. So I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit of both. in my
Their
opinion.
adjustments are 31.6, 33.2, and 43.5 on the
Right.
gross.
Right.
Our comps are tighter in size and of the same quality.
Mike, you got any questions?
Where is, I'm just trying to, I'm kind of like Randy, I'm familiar with the area, but I'm trying to think on the county comps. Do you know where this Fletcher Court, Wolf Creek, and Rustic Creek, those first 3?
Yeah, I'll pull them up for you.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, the page before does have a,
Does it? Okay.
kind of placed them, it won't get you great detail. We will give you a general idea of where they are.
And if you'll look to the appraisal, page number 20 shows our map where our comps and our locations are.
This is going to be Fletcher Court. It's in Old Stone Forest off Waxhaw Highway, next to, I think they call that the Round Top Church,
Oh, yeah.
if I could find it again.
I just think you move into a different element when you get,
That one,
That close to
go
Waxhaw.
west.
Yeah. I mean,
See, that's completely, that's not the same.
yeah.
It was going to be comp 2, same area.
Larger land area.
Mr. Chairman, we did not speak over the taxpayer when he presented.
I'm sorry, say that again, Phil?
I think my point was taken by the representation here.
This is comp 3, Rustic Creek. Of course, there's a house there. It's off Steel Road, Lancaster Highway.
Sure. Know where that's at?
It's Conservancy is that neighborhood.
That would be closer to that would be the one that was closer to,
Yeah.
because that's on down 200 South.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. That just
You got
kind of
it.
helps me with
Okay,
those
thank you.
3. I was just,
Yep, no worries.
Any questions for the county, Dutch?
I don't have any further questions at this point.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next hearing will be hearing number 17. They were not able to attend, it's a special situation. If you'll turn to that tab and you can see That's parcel number 07096-213, hearing number 17. There's a letter in there they requested for their information to be read by the board. They have some health issues with his wife and his out-of-town work issues and cannot be available and would like for y'all to look over. He has submitted a document that pretty much sums up his thoughts on the property.
So getting tax rate and value kind of see confusing tax rate and value.
I'll speak to that. Just reading it right here with you. This is a situation where in Georgia and South Carolina, they have assessment caps. And so they only tax at 20, 40, 60% of market value.
Okay.
North Carolina is a market value assessment state.
Right.
As a result, the tax rates, ours are constitutionally are limited, and it's constitutionally, statutorily, one or the other, is limited to $1.50 max per jurisdiction. Whereas down there, you may have a $4 tax rate, but it's a millage rate as opposed to a.
All works out about the
Right.
same. Yeah.
It works out about the same, it's just a different way of getting there.
Right.
So, and that seems to be what he's referring to in this letter.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
Anything for the county?
Well, I'll let him see, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you've been sitting there all day. Come on up.
I'll speak real quickly to it.
No, we're good.
Yeah, no problem. Like I say, just, the assessment value on this property, is at $515,700. I did check it, with a review, using Comper. That value come in at $561,300, so obviously I couldn't lower it. And I noticed in the letter he submitted, for review, when he considered having an appraisal for a refinance last summer, it looked like he was at $550 at that appraisal, so I feel like we're, probably below the market value with our, assessed value of $515,700. And so therefore I couldn't lower it any more than that.
Any questions for the county, Dutch?
I do not have any.
Mike? Thank you, sir. Mr. Sheen, I always say this, but you're welcome to leave or stay, whichever you prefer.
I'm good.
Okay. They paying you by the minute, are they?
This is why I do flat rate. I can just sit here and enjoy it.
Go ahead, Bella. Or
All right. Hearing number one, parcel ID number 091590003.
From what I remember, we've had similar situations come up, and I think we upheld the county's position on it.
Yeah, if it's written up there, it was, so.
Yeah.
That was their responsibility to see that.
Yeah. I make the motion, we uphold the county's, position / value, on this one.
All right, before we hold a vote, we got a motion, a second. I want to ask the county. All right, so we addressed something similar to this a couple weeks ago. All right, so you got, I view it as 3 parties here. Well, actually 4. You got somebody selling the property. You got somebody buying the property. You got an attorney representing the purchaser of the property. I'm assuming, I don't know about the seller. And then number 4, we got the county. Okay. So in a perfect world, who's this on to catch this? Because these buyers are unaware, they never purchased property before. So, hang on, all right. I want to hear the county. Who's on this?
It's a combination. So when a property is transferred, in a perfect world, it should be called. However, when we're doing the property transfer inside, it should also be noted on the prior to the transfer, there should be some kind of notation from the title search that there's an exclusion on this property, which means it's not taxed at full value. What I will speak to from the standpoint of a discovery tax bill, that is the intent of a discovery tax bill, is to, by statute, send a bill for taxes that should have been taxed at full market value, that escape taxation. Clerical error is not a reason for a discovery not to be done. That is very clear in statute. That does not, a clerical error does not invalidate the taxes. I think the best thing we can do is that we do not go back and charge penalty and interest on any type of discovery involving real estate, even in situations where it's warranted. Personal property, that's a different story, because that's an annual listing process and they list. And so, but real estate, we never charge penalty and interest on real estate. Well, we will charge interest if it's a rollback, but that's by statute, we're required to. So I think unfortunately, I think we had a staff member that's no longer with us that missed this one from our perspective, but it also was not indicated in any of the process related to the closing.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
I mean, I kind of sympathize with the taxpayer to a degree, that they might not have seen the tax bill if their mortgage is escrowed. I mean, they might not have seen anything.
Well, I'll speak to that. So 5 years ago,
Yeah.
we changed our process where prior to that, if it was escrowed, there wasn't a tax bill that went to the taxpayer.
Right.
But we send a tax bill to every property owner in this county
They
now.
see it now.
So they do get a copy of the tax bill, and it's called a courtesy statement, but it's just like the tax bill. It just doesn't have the remittance coupon at the bottom of it. It's a note to the taxpayer that says this is a courtesy notice to you. This tax bill has been sent to your escrow and mortgage company.
I think as we discussed in the, some of the prior ones, I mean, they got the benefit for a couple of years too. Correct? Yeah.
So, does your motion stay the same?
Yeah, I'm still there, motion. So
Second.
we got a motion second, right?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no, I vote no. I think, I'll say I know, I think we give them, we hit them for 1 year and we give them a year for, to be fair. That's my, why I voted no.
Okay, moving on to parcel number, tab number 5, parcel ID number 060545549.
That's Mr. D'Angelo.
Yes.
I think the county had the better comps on this one. I mean, with the different size homes in there. The only other question I had, and we talked about it, that filter has been changed where the taxpayers aren't getting all these comps, and that probably got him off on the wrong track to start with, but he was using larger homes.
And you still get somewhat larger. I think it's set at 20% plus or minus.
Right.
You know, And a lot of people assume, hey, I get 18, I'm gonna use 18. We try to focus, keep narrowing until we get to 4.
Right. I mean, I just felt like, I mean, the county's comps mirrored right up to his house, to me. Size, closer dates to 1/1/21.
Speaking to the technology
Yeah.
that we provided for the taxpayers, we can set the default, but anybody that is familiar with computer operations, all they gotta do is go drop down the menu and change that default.
Did he? Okay.
They can select whatever they wanna select.
Right.
So we've got it set to the default settings, which is reduce that window.
Right.
But they can go in and change it to whatever they want to in that situation.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we leave we agree with the county on their assessment?
Yeah, I make the motion, we uphold that value.
Got Mike made a motion, Dutch second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no. Thank you.
Parcel ID number 062071112, Melvin Campbell.
In my line of business, and also Mr. Hardison's, we hang our hat on evaluations by third party who are licensed to appraise property in the state of North Carolina. The methods are, I think, tried and true. And so I am suggesting that we go with the appraised value of this house at $1.95 million as the new tax value.
Yeah, I'll second that.
You got to, I'm suggesting, you got to.
Oh, okay, then. Yeah, I'll make the motion, you know, based on the an appraisal with a valid date, you know, good comps, that we amend the value to that appraised value of $1,950,000.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no. Thank you.
I mean, to me, this is the best evidence you can have when you roll in here with a full appraisal.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, the Honeycutts, they got some problems. They want.
Yeah.
I like
Those
them.
pictures, I think, kind of told the story.
I think so.
I mean,
I do like the fact that I think we should lower it, but I also, when they pull a permit, I think that catches their improvements.
they can do some major renovations in that home and not pull a permit, though. I mean,
Yes,
Yeah.
we see that all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I understand.
And he's probably got contacts where
Yeah.
you can just call them in.
yeah.
I understand a gentleman that's been in that business as long as he has, says that you pull a permit, that is the correct legal answer, but yes, it does often happen the other way. To me, there's two different things happening here. I think we have overgraded the house, the quality of the home. I think on the exterior, we were fine.
Yeah.
But even if it was updated, I don't think the quality of the work, the materials on the inside warrant that same grade.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask, my recommendation to the board is we lower the grade. We go ahead and move it to 600 or whatever you gentlemen prefer. But we lower the grade so in the future, it won't grade out like the other homes around it that have more high-quality materials on the interior.
Right.
And unless that somebody comes along and rehabs it, you know, in a major way.
You saw the pictures.
That's all the issues.
Is good plus about right? Or does it need to be, what's below good plus?
I think that's rational, yes.
Yeah.
And that may get you in the ballpark where he wants to be at.
It would. We'll make sure that we, you know, if your board decision is 600, we'll lower it to good plus, and we'll make sure it does not exceed 600. But it'll fix the problem moving forward as well.
Yeah. I would make that in the form of a motion that we lower the grade to good plus and not lower the value below 600.
I hear a second. Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no. Thank you.
You pretty sure that Good Plus is gonna get it to 600,000?
We'll make sure does not exceed 600.
Okay, I just wondered, you said you were that number. What was that number?
We're gonna change grade,
Great.
and then if there's a difference in the two numbers, we'll go ahead and reduce that number.
Okay.
But that way, we've got the right grade for the next reappraisal.
Good.
Permit.
All right, Belma?
Okay, parcel ID number 043060007B, Robertson.
All right.
Same thing, I mean,
Same thing,
I'm more comfortable really looking at this appraisal than the first one. And maybe it's just kind of our knowledge of that market a little more so. Too, on those comps, I mean, I would like that's 16, isn't it?
yeah.
Even though a couple of the taxpayer comps were older, I think they still better reflected the market there. And the county's comps, a couple of those were what I would still call wax salt.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus rough edge. Yeah. And that value's 535. I make a motion, we reduce it to 535 to align with the appraisal furnished by the taxpayer.
There, second? Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Like sign no? Those appraisals are proof in the pudding for me, Mr. Shaheen.
Yeah. Just kind of have to balance it sometimes, I think, with
Yeah.
the date, you know, and
And we're not being critical of the county by no means. I just, good comps.
Should I do this last or this? I can't remember.
That's, I
it's
guess,
just the best.
that's why we're up here, because we have a pretty good understanding of values.
Yeah.
Also, go right ahead, Belma.
Sorry. Parcel ID number 070962113. Last one, hearing 17.
To me, I make the motion, we just uphold the county's value on that at 515,700.
I think Mike, you good with that? You make a motion, Mike makes a motion, second, got a second from Mike, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, like sign no. Thank you.
Moving for no shows for today. Hearing number 8, 9, 10, and 11 were no shows.
I make a motion, we uphold the county's value on tabs, 8, 9,
10 and 11.
10, and 11.
Now, 11 is a staff recommendation, I'm seeing, Belma.
Oh,
Well, 10 was too.
11 says a staff recommendation. 8 and 9 are no shows, right?
8, 9, 8,
On the agenda, 10 and 11 are staff recommendations.
10. Oh, staff rec and 11. So it's just 8 and 9 then. 16 is there.
Oh, boy.
I apologize, it's only 8 and 9, no shows.
Make the motion that we accept the county's assessment of the property.
Thank you. Mike, make a motion.
I'll second it.
Dutch, second, all in favor, say aye. Aye, like sign no. Okay, now we go to staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations, yes. So we have tab number 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Do I hear a motion, we accept the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and second by Dutch, second by Mike. All in favor, say aye. Aye, like sign no. Thank you.
Just for the record, the staff recommendations are values that have been accepted by the taxpayer, and the board is approving that since the board's in session.
Correct.
And finally, we have the informal staff regs, recommendations? Sorry.
Which one's that, Velma?
That should be the last one,
informal, okay,
18,
gotcha.
18.
And what are those recommendations?
Informal staff recommendations?
Do we need to hear that? Okay. I hear a motion that we accept the informal staff recommendations.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no, thank you.
And the difference in informal, and I reckon formal.
Yeah, the informal is our initial response to the taxpayer, but because you have convened, we can't technically make that change. You bless those, it goes to the taxpayer, they have a chance to appeal back to the
Right,
board.
gotcha,
So
gotcha.
their appeal right is still intact.
Right, okay,
Yes.
good.
Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So move.
All right. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And board, we will not be meeting on Monday. It is Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Belman, can you cut the recording?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.